Appamada's programs and facilities are supported through your generosity. Your support really does make a huge difference. You'll find a link for contributions on the website at appamada.org/contribute. Thank you so much.
Good morning. So this morning, Thursday morning, we'll talk about the fifth factor of enlightenment, and that's tranquility. And the Pali word is Passaddhi, which is kind of nice because it's kind of a soft, smooth word, kind of tranquil. I wanted to start with a quote from a teacher, Nayana Ponika Thera. He says, the first step is to know the mind. The second step is to shape the mind. The third step is to liberate the mind. I remember Peg always saying, we're constantly training our mind. It's just a question of what we're training it in. Wouldn't we like a choice about that? Wouldn't we like to decide our intention and train in that way? So we've gone through mindfulness, investigation, energy, joy, and these have prepared the ground for tranquility, Passaddhi. So many teachers say that relaxing the body is the primary practice for cultivating tranquility. Gil Fronsdale says, in the body, tranquility is like a deep, clear lake with a wide, still surface. In the mind, it is like the soft, quiet, fresh air over the lake at dawn. Sounds pretty good. So the 7 factors in Pali, the Bojjhangas, which as an aside, I've thought it was really sweet word because it reminds me of Mr. Bojangles, but I don't think that's related at all. But the 7 factors are gifts. They are activities, so practices, and their qualities. So like chapters in a really great novel, you can take them individually or you can watch them develop over in an entire story, the story of awakening. They arise in the process of concentrated meditation without our volition or directed effort. And each one supports and prepares the ground for the succeeding factor. So it's said that the 7 factors are divided into the energizing factors and the calming factors. Laurie talked about this with joy. So the energizing factors are mindfulness, investigation, energy, and joy. And the calming factors, we're moving into tranquility, concentration, then equanimity. So these factors can be used to balance one another, and they're also considered antidotes to the 5 hindrances. So just to refresh everyone's mind, the 5 hindrances: sloth and torpor, ill will or aversion, restlessness or agitation, sensual desire, and doubt. So it's considered that if, for instance, in working in investigation, one becomes ruminative, thinking of the same thing over and over, or agitated, seeing a pattern that you begin to feel is always there and is never going to change, you can then become aware of that behavior and move into a more calming, moving from an agitated or restless kind of quality to a tranquil or calming quality. The same with equanimity or with tranquility. Tranquility can become sleepiness in certain states if it's not what's considered true tranquility. And at that point, one can arouse energy or investigation or joy, mindfulness, to bring some energy back in and to balance out the sleepiness. Tranquility offers stability, also stability of mind. It's calmness or serenity or peace are other words that describe the character of tranquility. As I was saying, they are steps or parts in a cascade, a development of liberation. So we begin with mindfulness of the mind and body, and say, for instance, we become aware or mindful of desire, sensual desire, or clinging, grasping. With mindfulness, we become aware of that state. And at that point, we can begin investigation. And this is referring back to what Laurie walked us through the other day with the learning record. We begin to investigate by what is this sensual desire like in the body? What do I experience in the body? How is my abdomen? How are my eyes? How is my jaw? You can move into what are the emotions that are associated with this. Does this make me happy? Does this make me angry? Does this make me jealous? Then the thoughts that are associated with the sensual desire are clinging. I've got to have this. If I don't have this, I'll be empty. How will I get this? And then we move into, is there a volition? Is there something I'm going to do? Or something that I was planning to do? So we are able to investigate. Once we become aware of something, we're able to move into investigation. And then once the insight gained with investigation grows the energy to continue working with this hindrance or working with this particular object of awareness. With the activation of energy, joy in directed, single-minded, fruitful, and gentle inquiry arises. Oftentimes when we're able to do one thing at a time, to put our mind on one thing and become absorbed in that thing, there is joy. And with joy, in the gentle, energetic investigation grows calm and peacefulness and tranquility. So that's a little bit of how the development might occur, how one factor is arising because of the work that has been done or the mind state that has been achieved by the succeeding factors, or the previous factors, excuse me. So some invitations to tranquility. What are some of the things that we can do to manifest tranquility? Well, as I said earlier, relaxing the body is the primary practice for cultivating tranquility. So some kind of directed body scan where you're actually becoming aware of different parts of the body and releasing tension, sending breath to a certain part of the body and deeply relaxing, letting go, can be a great invitation to tranquility. Mindfulness of the breath can be very tranquilizing. Again, bringing your attention to one point and doing one thing can be very joyful and tranquilizing, particularly the out breath. It's said that the out breath is the part of the breath that's more tranquilizing. So in awareness of breathing, placing more awareness or placing great awareness on the out breath. So the presence and company of tranquil companions is recommended as a way to cultivate tranquility. People that are able to meet you with undemanding acceptance. Pets can be very tranquilizing because they often have that quality if they're not poking you with their nose because you're on the computer. If they're tranquil, they can help you be tranquil. So the Buddha said, tranquility is the nourishment for tranquility. So awareness of and savoring tranquility promotes peace, more tranquility. The awareness of multitasking or busyness, and becoming aware of that and then choosing another path is an invitation to tranquility. Some types of music, certainly we have all experienced that, can be great doorways to tranquility. And my personal favorite, being outside, being in nature. There's so much space. If you can be someplace where there's so much natural space, openness. Again, it's an undemanding, accepting presence to be in nature. And it's beautiful. It can sound beautiful. You can hear water or birds or wind in trees, the chatter of squirrels. So beauty also can activate tranquility. So there are some activities or activities of tranquility. And some of these Laurie alluded to the other day when she talked about joy. And as one of the teachers said, these are activities that are not particularly valued in our culture at this moment. We are bombarded with busyness and productivity and consumerism, and that is antithetical to tranquility. So the first activity of tranquility that's mentioned is disenchantment. I know Nelda had an issue with this the other day, and that's totally understandable because in our culture now, we associate enchantment, which the etymology is to cast a spell on, to enchant, to sing at. The flavor of enchantment is positive. We say it about something we love. We say it about something that's desirable. But we also can think about enchantment as a projected promise, as Christina Feldman says. The thinking that says, if only this, then that. If only things were this other way, this wonderful thing would be happening. So the act of disenchantment is to desist from that type of thinking. Notice when you're involved in that type of mental formation, and notice, when does it arise? Again, going back to investigation, some of the questions or ways we can investigate. What are the conditions that exist when this enchantment is arising? What are the conditions that exist when enchantment is not arising? Enchantment is associated with consumerism. This is what you want. This is how you will be happy, have love, be successful, which is all important, have the life you want. So it's imbued with a feeling of lack or scarcity. This is not good enough. Not good enough. So disenchantment as an activity of tranquility. Another activity that none of us really like in this culture, which is restraint. Restraint can be associated with the backward step that Dogen talks about. It's not reacting, noticing the arising of the will to react and waiting, creating that gap for mindfulness and awareness, for investigation to happen. These are great activities to practice, great activities to invoke when we encounter the hindrances. So, disenchantment, we particularly associate that with sensual desire or clinging or grasping. So being able to break the spell of that and return to the body. Find the joy in the present moment. Instead of focusing on this projected promise of what will happen if only, we can come back to what is happening right now. Our breath, our body, what we hear, what we see. Pay close attention to sensations, thought, emotion, and then the mental outlook that Laurie talked about with joy, with the learning record. What is the What is the weather inside in my mind? What's going on in my mind? How does it feel? So in the Pali Canon, I've learned that Buddha loved similes, loved to tell a story about, this is like the man who, this is similar to the woman that, and so one of the similes that we can think of for the 7 factors of enlightenment is gardening. Is each factor is part of a process that will result in fruit. The fruit of awakening, the fruit of liberation. Each process or each step is itself a process and whole and full. Important. The ground has to be prepared. The compost must be mixed in. You have to remove the grass or whatever was there previously. You have to aerate the soil, on and on. So this is something that we can map onto the 7 factors of enlightenment. Tranquility prepares the soil for the next bhojangas, deep concentration and equanimity. It works to calm and stabilize the mind, so these next 2 factors are available to us. Tranquility also supports letting go, acceptance of what is, releasing the grip on our stories about ourselves, releasing the grip of self-making and of the hindrances. Tranquility allows a broad view, to look up from your monitor and see what surrounds you and supports you. If investigation or mindfulness is like a microscope or a telescope, an exquisitely focused view that allows deep looking, tranquility is gazing up from our work, taking in what we're in the midst of, and appreciating that, seeing the joy, the beauty, the poignancy of that as it continually arises and passes away. Tranquility allows awareness both of the beauty and the heartbreak, not favoring one or the other, but allowing awareness of both. Thank you. So I think we might have time for, what do you think, Adam? 1 question, 2 questions?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay, we have 3 minutes. If anyone has any comments or questions, I'm most happy. No question about Bojangles?
Thank you, Anne. I have a question. When you were talking about tranquility, immediately I start getting confused with the energetic. I don't have problem with the joy, with the energetic is, I think, or it's my mind that want to grasp, to have a concept very clear, because it's, you know, everything goes together. So yes, that the energetic, the tranquility is very clear, the way you explain that. But because you can go to, doesn't need to go all, like you can go from one to another.
Right.
It's not linear.
Right. It can be, and it's said that in this deep concentration meditation that goes through what are referred to as the jhanas, that they do happen sequentially, that's what happens as you move deeper and deeper into meditation. I think in life, in our everyday life, that is not necessarily true. I mean, having energy doesn't always produce joy. But I think another way to think about it is to think about energy as effort. It's also referred to as effort, right? Effort. So,
Yeah, I remember you mentioned, Laurie
or
mentioned.
awareness in activity. And it's a condition, but it's also a practice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you all very much. We'll rearrange our audio visual.
Okay, good evening. It was, when we started this evening, it was just pouring. It was raining really hard, and now it's completely gone and quiet. The trees were going every which way. This has been kind of a fun storm. Anyway, so welcome back. So what I'd like to do tonight is an exercise around the meditation on tranquility. That is what I'd like to do. Also, writing utensils will be required. You get some for the four of us. And if you guys need some paper and pen, you'll need to go get it now. So what I would like to do is, what I'd like to do first is do a little practice or practice on remembering or recollecting tranquility, how to do tranquility on the fly or when under pressure. So here's what I'm thinking is that we're going to go through the meditation that we did this morning. I'm just going to do briefly, just trying to get you to recollect how that went and how you felt, most importantly, how you felt in the different parts of the meditation. And, but I'd like you to think of a stressful situation that you may have experienced and maybe you didn't handle it as well as you might have. I think that happens to most people. And so we'll just recall the following, just as I'm calling it out, try to remember what we said this morning and how that felt. And okay, we'll take it from there. So to start, recall the relaxing and calming of the whole system. The relaxing and the calming of the whole system. Recall the deep breaths, the relaxation, and the big ah as you felt the here and now. Recall the relaxation and the softening on the exhale, the softening of the face, the relaxation and softening of the shoulders, the relaxation and softening of the belly. Just recall how that felt in your body. Recall the calm and peacefulness. And the gradually increasing sensitivity to the body. Recall to the relaxation of the thinking mind. Remember the quieting of the mind, the connection to the breath. Recall the gradually finer sensitivity to the body, going deeper. Recall the slowing down. Recall the breath and the letting go of thoughts. The option that we have always of calmness over agitation. Remember the deepening of relaxation in the shoulders and belly. The letting go to contentment. And the arising of tranquility and opening to peace. Opening to the deep peace and tranquility that others feel from you and that you can share with the world. So be with that for just a minute or so, recalling that calmness, that peacefulness, that relaxation, the choice of calmness over agitation. And just rest in that relaxation, in that peace. And now we'll move to the writing aspect of this. Just keep all of that in mind. And with that in mind, just write how you might have responded differently coming from this place as to where you might have been coming from when you had this stressful experience that was difficult to respond to. So we'll do that. We'll have 5 minutes to write. Write for 5 minutes and share for about 2 or 3 minutes.